This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
As a chef, I know flavor doesn't begin in the kitchen. It begins on the land. And Westhome's nature-led Australian Wagyu is a story written in the landscape of Northern Australia. Cooking is storytelling, and Westhome Wagyu carries a story of Northern Australia itself. Raw, powerful, and deeply authentic. It's a testament to the passion and care raised in the rhythm of Northern Australia. I'm Chef Maylin from 88 Club in Los Angeles, and I invite you to visit westhome.com/Maylin to learn more and taste a story only Westhome nature-led Australian Wagyu can tell. That's westhome.com/MEILIN.
What do you say when someone at a professional conference asks a woman, "Who's watching your kids?" but doesn't ask the man standing next to her? Today, we're talking about visibility, confidence, and how to respond in moments that test your composure. Welcome back to Speaking with Confidence, the podcast that helps you build the soft skills that lead to real results. Communication, storytelling, public speaking, and showing up with confidence in every conversation that counts. I'm Tim Newman, a recovering college professor turned communication coach, and I'm thrilled to guide you on your journey to becoming a powerful communicator. Today's guest is Sabine Hutchison. Sabine is a CEO, author, and founder of the Ripple Network. She helps leaders cut through the noise, trust their voice, and shape careers with intention. She brings stories, strategy, and a refreshing take on what meaningful success can look like. Sabine, welcome to Speaking with Confidence.
Thank you so much, Tim. Good question. I forgot that we had talked about that.
Yeah.
I love it that you've tied that back in, that first question. Beautiful.
Yeah, we'll get to that as we get into the meat of it. But
Yeah, I'm
you have an amazing story that I kind of want you to touch on, because you took a chance that most people would never do. You went to Germany with 2 suitcases and no plan.
Mm-hmm.
What did that teach you about courage and reinvention?
Yeah. I think, it's interesting. I was talking that you used the word courage today, because I was speaking to someone earlier about courage and about taking steps and also some reinvention. And I don't know if it was so much about courage. I trusted myself and I trusted my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more that I listened to what my body was telling me. It was like, this is the right thing to do. So it didn't feel like I was taking some courageous step. It just felt like I was taking the right one, because I felt I could breathe. I didn't, how sometimes we have tension in parts of our body, like when we're trying to decide something, and you can get, I immediately get a funky stomach, or I get, kind of these butterflies, or I get a weird sense in my stomach if something doesn't sit right. And I did not have that feeling at all. And so it felt just natural to do it. Mm-hmm. It was a bit unplanned, because my life before that was very planned. But I think it was more this trusting myself and listening to myself than courage.
That's interesting. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. I understand the whole plan thing, because I get it. How did that actually feel? I mean, what was there? So there was no real tension, saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, I don't really know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now, let alone 2 weeks from now." Like, and because for me, I mean, if you look at my calendar or whatever it is, I know I'm here, and what I'm supposed to be doing. The unknowing for me would probably it would probably drive me nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Normally I tend to be that way as well, because I had a plan, I went to university. I did what I was supposed to do. I had a job. You start your career path. But there was just this sense, and that's what I think one of the first times, or that is when I started really listening to my intuition more than I ever had, and that started to guide me more than the plans, and I started to have more of this bigger plan of what I wanted to do and the kind of life that I wanted to have, and I didn't have like a Gantt chart anymore about, okay, you need to do this and then this and then this. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be here. I knew I wanted to have a successful career, but the step-by-step piece kind of went away. And that started this whole new way that I approached my career and life, and that I still wanted to be successful, and it didn't take away from me being an high achiever and wanting to do things just because I didn't have every piece of it mapped out.
And so my guess is you took action even though you didn't have it, as opposed to making sure that it's there and not doing anything until the whole thing was set out. Okay, now we know, and it's so important to understand, because many people won't do anything if it's not completely mapped out and it's proven that this is the way to do it. And that's just not reality for most people.
No. You freeze. I know people that like have to have it 150% planned out, or they feel they're almost like frozen and unable to move if they don't have that. And I believe, I think a lot of people have talked about this also in leadership, this 80%, get started. It doesn't, whatever this definition of perfection is before you can start in something, have an idea and a plan. So I'm not saying to go through life, kind of totally wild and not have any kind of willy-nilly and not have any plans. But it's okay if things are evolving. That's why there's this phrase, you're flying the plane and building it at the same time. There's something to that, I think. Right. Because sometimes if you really want everything planned out, you'll never take a step. That's just would be such a shame.
Yeah. My wife's a real estate agent, we live in Hilton Head, South Carolina. It's kind of a resort town. And she's been in real estate for a couple of years, and she's really just starting to build her own kind of brand type of thing. And for 6 months, she was haggling over a font. And I'm like, you've got to stop. You've got to stop. Nobody really cares about the font. Put your brand out there and go do the thing. Go. They're buying you. They're not buying some crazy font that, is perfect. And seriously, it should be for 6 months. And finally I said, I'm done. Don't ask me anymore. You're either going to just do it. But I can't have the same conversations, but that's how a lot of people actually go about things. And
it's true.
The things that you lose or give up over that time, the experience that you get, the highs and the lows, the successes and the failures, because there's going to be successes and there's going to be failures that you'll never experience, that you now have to experience 6 months later.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can preface so much. Hey, I'm in the developmental stage right now. I'm taking this step. I think I've got it 80%. I think I've got it 70%. I'm working through this. And it's also about this vulnerability. I think this ability to be vulnerable and to share with people that you're in the process. Right. And maybe they want to be part of that process with you. So pull them in and let them help you develop and to grow your brand, or to get ideas as well. So.
Yeah. And so let's take that a step further, because you're in Germany now. You're from the US. So you've worked in Europe, you've worked in the United States, you've worked across different cultures and generations. What differences do you really see in how generations approach communication and visibility?
Oh, that's interesting. I think, my generation, what am I? I was born 65. So whatever that is.
We're X.
Yeah, we're X.
No,
okay. Are we X? We're X, baby.
Yeah, that's it. We're the best generation ever. I don't care about the greatest generation. We're the best generation.
And I think we just did a lot of stuff too.
We did.
You see all these funny kind of videos recently. You see all these kind of reflections back and, about how we grew up and what we did. We kind of just did things. We didn't, we'd build ramps, you'd fly over them. I saw some funny video about, the basements that used to be with a funky shag carpet on it. And, you were like dive bombing off of the sofa onto the rug and just hope you kind of made it. So I feel that we grew up in an environment where that was just kind of like this giving things a go, was encouraged. You tried things and I love that. And then there's this next, there are a couple of other generations after that where I think more the planning and everything has to be a certain way,
has to be structured.
And the structure. And then I think now the generations that are coming out now, they're much more open to trying things again. So I think that it's a bit of a fluctuation as well and what people are, but if you look at the influencers and what people are trying, and my goodness, look how many companies, how many startups there are nowadays. Right. It's incredible. So I feel that people are much more like, okay, well, let's give it a whirl, which is kind of back, I think, to where we came from.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest difference, though, from what I see is you're absolutely right. But when they get into a structured environment, they have no idea what to do in a structured environment. We could send them off by themselves and they're great. I mean, they still need help with their communication, but they can function. They're high functioning. They're very, very intelligent, very entrepreneurial. But if you put them in a structured environment, they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to work within that, which is a problem.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. Yeah, that's a really good point. Is that how do you have the dynamics and the flexibility to work in everything, to be able to be independent, and then to also, because sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Right.
You think about like work-life balance. It's like sometimes you just got to get on with it, and maybe I don't want to say that people just need to work like fools, but sometimes that's part of it too. And well, that's work-life balance can come a bit later.
But that's what I've learned. That's something that I've actually learned from the Gen Zs and the millennials and Gen Zs a little bit, is that for us it was work. I mean, you did what you had to do. You had stuff to do. You go in, you get it done. You work. And if you had free time, that was free time, and you did the free time just as hard as you did the work time. You were always pretty much on. And I wanted to start a business with my youngest daughter, and she really pushed back. She said, "Dad, I know what you're going to expect of me, and I'm not interested in working that hard."
Okay.
And I said, I really had to take a step back and really think about.
Growing a successful business has never been easy. But whether you're navigating a complex industry or trying to reinvent one, our breadth of banking experts are here to collaborate on market-proven solutions. At KeyBank, we're built to grow with your changing needs, because we're not just here for the business you are now, we're here for the business you'll become. Reimagine business as usual. KeyBank opens doors. Learn more at key.com/B2B.
That from a different perspective. And you know what? She's great. I mean, she's very successful in what she does, and she does not work nearly as hard or as long as I do, but it works for her. And I've learned to actually, I took a day off last week, and so that's a big step for me, but understanding how those different generations, process things and go about their business. It's very important for us as the older generations to understand them and to be able to work with them.
Yeah, that's so true. And I remember my parents telling me, "Hey, you need to do a good job, because there's somebody else that's going to take that position for you, or you're out." So we grew up also with completely different input from our parents, like, you
Yes.
better crack on with it because there's somebody right there that's
Uh-huh.
that's going to come and take this position. So you need to be a top performer and really give it your all. So the work ethics were, and I don't
Very
want to say
different.
that, that newer generations don't have a work ethic. That's not
No,
it, but
that's not at all.
it's different. Yeah.
It's very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that same younger daughter, this was one time I literally, I wanted to kill her. I wanted to reach through the phone and kill her. She was she wasn't in a good work situation, and I've been helping her and helping her get through it, but she went on vacation and she decided it would be a good idea while she was on vacation to send a resignation email while she was on vacation when she didn't have a job. And I said, "You've got to be kidding me. You have just killed your reputation. You've just killed all these things." And she said, "Dad, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to be fine." And for literally for a week, I was so mad at her, and she was right.
She was right. Yeah.
She was
listened.
right.
She knew. Yeah.
She was right. And again, for us as the older generation, it's important for the younger generation for them to hear us say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. You were right," because that builds that trust. And now you get some more of that understanding of how you can actually work together, how those generations can work together.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. That's a nice story.
That's a horrible story. Yeah, good for her. Oh my goodness. But you talk a lot about visibility and getting more women on stages, which to me, as I've learned a lot about this, it's not just important, it's critical.
It is critical.
Why are stages so powerful when it comes to influence and opportunity?
Yeah. And I think that there's so many types of stages too, right? I think that sometimes when we think about speaking, we think about being, on a big stage and having hundreds of people in front of us, but we can also have smaller stages, in the office with a team,
right.
If you're presenting at a board, there's so many stages that we can be on. And I think it is so important to be able to articulate and to feel confident in what your style is and how you present yourself and how you tell a story, because I believe that stories are such a crucial part about how we communicate with each other and connect with each other. There's so much that AI does nowadays, but it's like that connection piece is just so important. And that's a way for us. That's a way for us to do it. So to be on this stage and to be able to share stories and give insights and to feel comfortable about speaking and maybe again, it's not all going to be perfect. Maybe again, it's at the 80%, but to feel confident in that and to be able to work through that, I just think is crucial. As leaders, even as employees, as anyone, I think it's so important.
It really is. And as I'm thinking about it from the younger generation perspective, it's hard for them to speak up in a meeting. For whatever reason, right? It's they don't want to. They don't think they have anything to offer. They don't want to sound stupid. Whatever that is, and that's a different issue that needs to be dealt with. But when you couple that with being, let's just say you may be the only female in a team meeting,
right?
To me, you've got whether that's unfounded or not, the feeling that person has is real, and that anxiety is real, and we have to figure out a way for those individuals to understand you're there for a reason. We want to hear you're hired for a reason. You're in that room for a reason. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah. And how many times have you been in a meeting and you think, "Ooh, I want to say this. I want to make this comment. I want to ask this question." And you're like, you don't trust yourself to do it. And then 2 minutes later, someone else does the same thing. And then they get feedback like, "Oh yeah, great question or great point." So I think trusting ourselves and also sometimes you're going to maybe say something that isn't fitting, but that's all right too. That's part of life and learning. And then you adjust and you do it differently potentially the next time. But we're so, we can be so fearful of this idea of what other people think about us, which is, I guess, a normal thing to do. But it's also oftentimes, I think, if we just trust ourselves and said something with confidence, then that it'll be fine.
Yeah. So let's dive into that a little bit, because let's look at our generation as a, for example, for me, most of my life, I've not really cared about what other people think about me or what I did or what I said. Now, there are times where that's not true. I've been the opposite end of that, right? The younger generations, that's pretty much all they think about is they care about what the person next to them says. They care about what everybody says, even the people on social media who they have no idea who they are. They're so worried about what other people think about them. It's paralyzing.
It can be paralyzing. And that's a tough thing to get over. And I think taking micro steps is a way to do that. And that's what I really try to focus on also within the Ripple Network. And some of the learnings that I have in the book are like these little steps to build that confidence. And it starts with how you introduce yourself. Think about being somewhere, and then just how do you talk about yourself? How do you say who I am? What am I doing here? What do I believe in? Anything. And that is just such a crucial thing. And we just don't really think about how we even introduce ourselves, or we potentially introduce ourselves the same way to, 10 different stakeholders, where I'm a fan of starting to build stories about yourself. What is it about you? What are key pieces? Have notebooks. I write these things down. And I believe that if you start to build this library or your Spotify list of stories and ideas, that's what can help you feel much more comfortable and confident. I think so often we think that, that the fairy godmother is going to come, and if I read enough books, then I'm going to be able to do all this. And then, the magic wand is going to be waved. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And that's, again, this practice and these little micro steps and little actions that we can take that build with this confidence. I remember when I started to do my first social media posts, finally I was just like, forget it. I'm just going to do one. The lighting's wrong, whatever. And it's like the first one went out. I was like, all right, well, that wasn't so bad. And then I did another one. And now I have this whole scope of, sometimes 2 and 3 minute videos, but those have built my confidence to do even more. So I think that is just so this idea of practicing in small moments can be so valuable. And you don't have to do a big speech, do small steps.
Yeah. And that you're so right. You're so right. And it's hilarious, because talk about introducing yourself. I give blood every time that I'm allowed to give blood. So it's whatever that time frame is. And yesterday was the day I gave blood, and I wasn't expecting it. And the person who was checking me in asked me to spell my name. I spelled my name wrong. I mean, when do you ever spell your full legal name? I mean, and I said, oh my God. So it's that whole thing. And I laughed about it. They laughed about it. So it's also about how you react to your mess ups or not being perfect or whatever. Here I am. I teach people this. I speak for a living, and I spelled my name wrong. It happens.
And that's okay.
These things,
it happens.
These things happen. And it goes to the point. One of the things that you said is people don't just have confidence. Confidence is a skill that's built.
Yeah, totally.
Right? It's built through just what you said, practice. Think about driving.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, you feel better. You feel more confident. An instrument.
Anything.
Who can actually sit down on a piano the first time and play, something incredible? No, practice.
Right.
And I think we have these expectations of ourselves, or we're less, maybe we're a bit less tolerant when we think about speaking. We're like, oh, we speak every day, but there's still practice needed in order to fine tune those skills, because I think that, maybe there's some individuals that have kind of this natural innate talent that they are able to do it. But the majority of people that are on a stage or in a meeting and that are articulating themselves and telling stories and, bringing in jokes, it took a lot of work to get to that point. And I think that people don't realize that. It takes a lot of work to look that effortless.
Yes. a lot of, it's kind of an oxymoron, but that's the reality. I mean, and again, that goes for anything. I mean, from speaking to being a professional athlete to being whatever it is that you want to do, a lot of work goes into that. And if you want to be good at that, if you want to be great at that, you have to do the work. It's not something you can do to Tuesday and then wait till next 3 months later and do it again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we forget that because we see so much too. Read this article, do this one step, and you're going to be great. Forget about it, because no, it does take work. And I think that we have to decide, do we want to take the steps to do that? And we see it also when, in the Ripple network, it's the platform, and we have cohorts go through. A lot of people are really excited in the beginning. They're like, yeah, I want to work on speaking, but then they don't. We build in small challenges that individuals have to record. They have to load the videos up and to do these. And we see it. It's almost like, and New Year, in the new year, I'm going to work out. I'm going to do this, and everyone's excited. But it's interesting to see the people that are really going to do the work. The difference that it makes at the end of we use 3-month cohorts. And at the end, you can tell the ones that have been consistently, and that's the piece too, the consistently practicing and putting things in. It's a world of difference. And that's 3 months. It's not a lot of time to actually build your confidence and to feel more comfortable with speaking. But we want things a lot faster, I think.
Oh, we definitely want things yesterday. I mean, that's I started today, but I wanted the result yesterday. And but even at 3 months, the growth that can happen in 3 months,
incredible.
The growth that can happen in a week, if you do something every day for a week, the growth that can happen. I spoke with somebody yesterday, and his thing is that he runs every day. He's been running every day for like 10 years. And so the joke is, what do you mean you do that every day? Does that mean every day? He said, every day means every day. And it's not, okay, it's raining outside, I'm not going to run. It means every day. I may not run as far every day, but I do it every day. And that's, that consistency is what helps build that confidence, and it's the same way with speaking. You have to do it. So what's I say you have to. Let's say you
want to change. You're right. You don't have to. Well, you have to if you want to make a change. Then you do have to. Right. And I think that's the decision that each person has to make for themselves. Do they really want to put the work in to make a shift and to make a change? And it does take time to do that.
So what would you say the first thing that somebody should do? A 25-year-old who goes to a team meeting every week, sits in the team meeting, and never says a word. What would be the first thing that you would tell that person to do?
The first thing is to actually make a decision that you're gonna say something in a meeting, and you can do their. It sounds weird to say, but they're like, could there be a trick? You could go to someone in the meeting who's leading the meeting and saying, I am working on saying something in meetings and making a statement. I'm struggling with this. Could you help me or give me the opportunity to do that? Can you call out? There's so many things that you can build in. You don't just have to wait for it to happen. You can also be strategic. So go to the lead, say, what are we going to talk about today? I'd like to prepare some sort of statement. Can you call on me? Somebody would be happy to do that, because that means that this individual wants to work on themselves. And so you're going to help them, give them an opportunity. Maybe the next time it's a little bit easier. It's always that first time.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
when you take the breath and your voice may be shaky, that's okay too, but you do it. And then the next time it gets a little bit easier. So try to think about not just waiting for the opportunities. This goes a little bit, I do some planning and you can plan these, you can help to kind of plan some of these situations in. You have more control than what you think.
Yeah. And so part of it is when you ask that question to call me, it's being a little bit vulnerable, but it's also showing that you know that you're working on something. It's also giving that person that you're reaching out to saying, wow, I've wondered why this person hasn't shared. I wonder why they're not there. Maybe number one, yes, I will do that, but maybe there's some other things that we can work on together that I can help pull you along and mentor you and provide value for you so that you can feel more comfortable. So there's that synergy there that can be built. And you never know what can come from those types of things. So put yourself out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And talk to people in the company or to your colleagues. Say, hey, this is something that I'm working on. Can you be my accountability partner on this? I want to do this. Can you also potentially look at how can you make a statement? Oh, Bob said this and this last week. You can very strategically create situations that can help you take those first steps too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's critical. And I've got two accountability groups that I'm in right now. And for those listening, I can't tell you how uncomfortable it is when you haven't done what you're supposed to do in that accountability group and you have to go and admit that. That won't happen very often because you feel like you're letting yourself down. You feel like you're letting your group down. And when you're in a good accountability group, those people will hold you accountable.
Yep.
If they're not holding you accountable, it's just a friend group getting together to talk.
And it doesn't, exactly.
That doesn't work. So I would encourage people to find that accountability group for you and get involved and make some real goals, make some real decisions. It doesn't necessarily have to be about business. It could be about anything. It could be about reading. It could be about going to the gym, exercising. It doesn't necessarily have to be about work. But once you start being held accountable for something, a lot of things in your life will change and get better.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have this one practice, have this notebook and I write down, the guy that runs does it every day. I do it almost every day. There are some days that I let it slip and I do 2 sentences. One is what I'm grateful for. And one is what an intention is. And I started, I wanted to be more present and focused. It was something that I would catch myself because emails come in. If I'm on a call, I would get distracted and I wanted to stop doing that. And if I need to practice to do that. So I started my intention for, almost for a month was my intention today is to be present and in each moment. So that was my reminder until it really sat and it became such a part of my thinking that if a call came in, I was like, nope. Close everything down. You're going to be present and in the moment. Right. Those are also things that you can do to even hold yourself accountable, but it's the repetition. I'm a big fan. I think you can hear it from almost everything that I talk about, this repetition and doing things over and over again, that things get sticky and then they stay.
They stay. Yeah. I opened the episode with an outrageous question. And you share with me a couple of them. Can you share a couple more and examples and how you respond to these questions or to these people with confidence as opposed to emotion?
Yeah, those are tough ones. And that again takes practice too. And the example that you gave at the beginning, I met a colleague, I think it was in December, and she is a female leader and she's a chief security officer at a large organization. And so she has a high position. And she actually had this happen several times where she would be at an evening event with a male colleague, and the men would ask her, who is taking care of your children? And then her male colleague, they would never even think about asking that. And she would say, well, who? She would just respond with saying, oh, that's an interesting question. Who's taking care of your children?
Mm.
And then let it go.
That's a good one.
And that's it. Nothing else. So to totally drop the emotion. And it's easy to get, your blood pressure goes up when that happens. And she said, actually, her colleague would get really upset. It was like, what are they doing? Why are they asking you that? And not me. But she just learned to reverse it and then just to ask them the same thing. So that's a good thing that you can do in a situation where you're potentially asking an uncomfortable question.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe that we're still in that era of ridiculous. I mean, I'm incredulous that somebody would even that would come across somebody's mind, let alone actually verbalize it. Yeah,
I've got a bunch. Here's another one. I did a networking event for some women oncologists. And they wanted to work on also that their ability to network because they're in lots of situations where they're very strong male individuals in networking events. And one of them shared a story that she was interviewing for a new position, and there was an elderly man that was interviewing her, and he said, "Why are we talking about what salary you need? Doesn't your husband make enough money?" And I was shocked at that. You can't believe it. And I was like, oh my goodness, when was this, like 10 years ago? She was like, no, Sabine, it was last year. So that we're talking that this happened last year. So we're talking 2024 that this is happening. And again,
it's bizarre.
She said, well, that's my husband is not is not the theme that we're talking about today. It's me, and these are my salary expectations. So it happens, and you just have to try to stay calm, and because emotions can taint and even take it in a worse direction. So it's just coming back and staying calm and working on, we talk a lot about breath too, but sometimes it is about just breathe and then come with a statement and a comment or another question. Yeah.
And not the question that I'm thinking about right now.
Exactly. It's so shocking, isn't it? Oh,
it is. It's bizarre.
You can't believe it.
So maybe the good thing is I think it's by the year 2030, which is 4 years from now, there's going to be more millennials and Gen Zs in the workplace than Gen Xers and Boomers, and maybe
right.
I can't believe that even people in our generation would come from, but I do know people who have that that mindset. So
right.
So saying I can't believe that they have the mindset, but it's sad that our generation has to actually probably transition out of the workforce for things to change, as opposed to just being normal and treating people with respect that they deserve.
Yeah.
I don't know, but now we're going down that road.
Yeah. So true. And my husband and I have these conversations because I do a lot of work. I do a lot of volunteer work. I wrote the book Beyond the Ladder. I do the Ripple Network is focused. It is focused on women and supporting them and their career growth. And he's like, why? And I was like, because of these comments, we do have these conversations. It's like, I wish that I didn't feel that I need to do something that's so focused in supporting women that they don't need this. But we're still in a time when I feel that it's very relevant and very important to do. And hopefully, in 2030, we're going to have less of these discussions. But until then, right. I feel that it's important to keep going and to offer opportunities for women to be able to think about their career and to think about that they don't have to have everything planned out, and it doesn't have to be a ladder. It can be a zigzag. It can be whatever. You can develop your career, what works for you, and also to give the opportunity for them to have an environment and they can work on their speaking and to feel more confident about that. So it's kind of sad that I'm doing this just focused on women, but I still feel it's an important time. And want to continue to do this until hopefully, we don't have comments like that anymore.
You're doing really good work that again, it has to be done. And, because think about if there wasn't anybody doing it.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
If there wasn't anybody doing it, I don't know that even with the millennials and Gen Zs coming on board, that would change.
Yeah.
Because
awareness is really key. Yeah.
It is. So let's talk about the Ripple Network and what it is, obviously why you created it, but what do you do with it and what results are you seeing?
Yeah. So the story where it actually came from was that I took a course to do a TED Talk. And so I was in this session, and there were three women taking the course, and we all finished. And what I thought wrote pretty impressive, inspirational talks. However, none of us ended up on the TED stage. And I thought, this is kind of sad. There's so many incredible stories. Well, I felt that our stories that we created were pretty incredible. And I know that there were more out there. I was like, I want to give a space where more women can practice their speaking, but they can also create an inspirational talk or whatever they want to do. And I can give them the platform to get that out there. And if it's behind their computer, again, that's a stage as well, because at the beginning we were talking about stages, and we have these ideas that you have to be on this kind of big stage in order to do these talks, but you can also do it, what we're doing now,
right? Or
you can record a talk and get it out there. So I wanted to create that environment.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
And that's where the idea for the Ripple Network came from, because I believe our stories are all ripples, and the impact that we have, we have everything that we do has an impact and creates a ripple in other people's lives. And I wanted to create an environment where women could practice doing that. And so what we do is we have groups of cohorts go through, and depending upon what level, they get challenges. And part of it is introducing yourself. Part of it is introducing yourself and then taking it down 2 notches and speaking slower. And the impact of that is incredible. So it's doing, again, these micro dosings of learnings that build your confidence and make it easier to record each time.
And how does feedback help improve the maybe the drive to improve?
Yeah, I think the feedback, what we do is that there are experts that give feedback, but also the colleagues, so the other members of the participants also give feedback. And that helps you to think a bit differently about how you frame something, or think about you could tell a story this way instead of this way, because how do we know? We don't. So getting these different perspectives is so valuable because it sparks another path. I was like, ooh,
right.
I can maybe use this in a story, and this is powerful, or something that I thought a quirkiness about me, the way that I speak, I was trying to cover it up, where what we try to do is we pull those pieces out and actually bring that to your unique way of speaking. And you may not see it as a benefit or your way. And so we think that's the benefit of getting the feedback. And we've seen people actually apply for positions that they didn't feel comfortable in. We've seen also students that had to do dissertations and had to speak and to present that way and feel more confident about it. So there's some people have aspirations to actually do an inspirational talk. Some people just want to. One person is a lawyer right now that's in the cohort, and she has to do a lot of networking events. And she's like, I don't know what to say to people. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I get mumbly, and then I start rambling on about topics that are totally irrelevant that nobody wants to hear about. And I just want to want to be stronger in that. I want to build my storybook. I want to be able to pull out situational things. I want to be able to look at one person and think, okay, what do they need to know about me in the situation, and pull those stories out and be a bit more flexible and comfortable.
It's again, I'm so glad you're doing that. And you gave an example of a lawyer who is having trouble introducing herself. And to me, that's a perfect example. You have a lawyer who can go into a courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Argue a case, argue, debate in front of a judge, do all of these great things with their voice, right? They can tell. That's what a lawyer is, tell stories, right? That's what they do.
Right.
They get the facts, they find the information, they tell a story, but have trouble talking about themselves. And that's a perfect example of, anybody, no matter where you come from, what you do, can benefit from practicing stories and getting help and doing this. It's not just for, a young person who has no experience. I mean, CEOs, the people I talk to, the CEOs that have trouble conducting a team meeting or you think to yourself, how in God's name did you get to that point and not be able to do that? But that's,
it happens.
It's happened.
But the thing is that where do they learn? And that's what I think, what I personally, what I love about what we're doing is that we're giving you the place to learn and to practice. Yeah. And because where do you practice speaking except in front of the mirror or in your own head? Very, very, very often you don't have the opportunity to get those words out in a space where you can get feedback. So I think that we have the expectations sometimes too, that everybody's just this natural storyteller and they just need a bit of practice and then they'll get better at it.
Yes. I saw a video yesterday about a guy who he has a friend who has a stage and periodically he'll go in and he'll spend the entire day on that stage. He'll put up different lighting, different sounds.
On stage.
And he practices his keynotes.
That's fabulous.
That way. And he takes video of it so that he has video of it under different lighting, different backgrounds, different types of things. And what his point was that way of practicing gives him the confidence of not just saying the words, but the tone, the body movements, where he's, how he moves on the stage. So it's more than just, saying the words. There's so much more that goes into it. And that's if that works for him. And if you have your own private stage for somebody that can set up for you, go do it. It was funny. It was funny.
Yeah. I love that. That's really great. And it's also, it's like hearing yourself. And then if you're recorded and you hear, oh my God, my first talk that I did years and years ago, I was shaking so much. And I think I played it back for my husband. He was like, oh dear God. He said, you said, like 10,000 times in like 5 minutes. I was like, I know, but if you don't hear it, then you can't correct it. And that's interesting as well. I did a session with someone else and she said, a lot. And she's like, oh my goodness, I never noticed how often I said, So these little nuances I think are so powerful when you actually hear yourself, and you can improve. And we're just all learning every day.
Yeah, and you have to be coachable. I mean, if you're going to do this, you also have to be coachable. You have to be able.
That's true.
You have to be open to listening, and you have to be open to trying new things, because it doesn't make any sense to go get coaching and not listen to what people are telling you.
That feedback is a gift. And some people struggle with that gift. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I struggle sometimes. I mean, so like, I haven't submitted a video in a couple of weeks, but I submit 3-minute stories to my coach. He gives me feedback, and sometimes his feedback is longer than the 3-minute video, which is good. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I get so mad that he really missed the point of my story. And then I got to think about it for a little bit and go back and listen to it and then make those adjustments. But you have to be open to to hearing that feedback
Mm-hmm.
and making those adjustments. Otherwise, you're not actually improving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes, boy, I don't like to hear them. Like, oh,
Yeah, I know.
I was working on that. And I
Mhm.
still did it. But again, that makes it better the next time.
Exactly. So where can people connect with you and sign up for the Ripple Network?
Well, you can reach my contact details. You can find me on SabineHutchison.com, or you can check out theripplenetwork.com. And then you can find all the information there and reach out if you have any questions or would like to chat.
And I'll put those in the show notes for everybody so that they have them. But Sabine, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I love the conversation and keep up doing the great work.
Thanks. And thanks to you too for like giving people the opportunity to tell their stories. I think that that's so valuable, and I really appreciate it that you've given me the opportunity to be here.
Thanks so much. You take care and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Be sure to visit speakingwithconfidencepodcast.com to get your free ebook, The Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers and How to Overcome Them. You can also register for the Formula for Public Speaking course. Always remember, your voice has the power to change the world. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.